In today's live stream, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you exactly how I'm using Manus AI in my business to make money. That's right, nothing left out. You're just going to watch over my shoulder as I show you exactly the different tasks that I use Manus for, how I use it, and how it differs from other AIs. A lot of people are paying attention to various different AIs that come out, and it seems like there's a new AI every day. However, a lot of people are missing the power of Manus. It is literally like having different employees that can work in your business in real time, even when you're not working. This is powerful stuff. I want you to think about it like this. If I was able to go to you one day and say, I have 10 employees that are going to work for you this month for free, what is it that you would have those employees do? If you don't have an answer, you need to watch this video at least one time all the way through. Because what I'm going to do is show you exactly the different tasks that I give to Manus and the output that makes me money. In fact, I just calculated yesterday. To date, in less than a year, I've spent over $3,200 on Manus, but I've also made over $109,000. So you're going to see exactly how I use this to make money. This is the real deal. So if you're excited, smash a like button. We're going to dive in, and I'm going to show you exactly how I use Manus to build different things, including right over here, a bulk task creation that we're creating, bulk file creation, where you can create different PHP files, JavaScript files, text files, prompts, and more, and also deep bulk research. No other AI tool on the planet can do research the way that Manus does. And I'm actually using it to not only make money, but actually save money in my business. This is super important, and once you learn this, you can't unlearn it. You can actually use this to create things in your business and make profit. So if you're excited to see exactly how I go from $0 to $1 million just using Manus AI, smash a like button. And let's hop over to the live set, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing right here, right now, so that you can learn and build a business for yourself. Come on, let's dive in. All right, everyone, welcome to the show. Today what we're doing is talking about how to use Manus to make money online. This is a live challenge that I'm doing where I am challenging myself to go through and use Manus to generate $1 million just with that one AI tool. Now, over the years, I've made millions of dollars with various different affiliate marketing programs, having my own products, digital products, software courses, all kinds of things like that. And I've even done various different lead gen and different things like that. And what I want to do is go through and talk to you about how this works, because when AI first came on the scene with ChatGPT back in 2022, it was a game changer. A lot of people looked at it and said, wow, this could write poetry, this can write sales letters and all different things like that. What I looked at was the ability to write code and understand code. Because let's face it, nothing understands code better than a computer that was literally built by code. Now, when we understand this, we can actually see where AI is evolving from just a tool that we use to an actual employee, where we see things like claude and different AIs like that, which I haven't dabbled into claude yet. I don't know if I'm going to. There are some security risks and things that I see as a downside with claude. However, using Manus AI, I think, is a lot more secure. And I think even though Manus AI doesn't have the hype that claude or other tools have, this is something where it can be like an employee. In fact, a couple months ago, we upgraded our subscription to, I think, the $400 or $500 range. And having it do what it does for $400 is amazing. And I'm actually going to go through, I'm going to show you what I used it for last month. I'm going to show you how we're going through and using this in our business to make money. I've actually gone through and created entire businesses with Manus AI. Now, there is a little bit of toying around with it, much like if you had employees. I mean, they're not going to do everything. Like Henry Ford didn't just hire people and they made the assembly line. He had to come up with the assembly line and insert the people where we see fit. Now, having been someone who has had multiple employees for several years, I think I first started outsourcing in 2009. And so that was roughly 17 years ago, kind of showing my age a little bit. But having started outsourcing and even having employees in-house like we do now, learning a lot about what actually makes things work and what actually makes money and how you can build and grow. That's why I wanted to go through and start this series of videos. If you like it, smash the like button and let me know as a comment below and say, show me the money or something like that. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing, how I treat Manus like an employee, why it was worth well more than the $400 I spent on it last month, how I spent over $3,200 in the time that I've owned a Manus account, and what I've actually used it for. Because conservatively, I have seen that I've been able to make at least $100,000 since I've owned my Manus account, probably a little bit more. I wanted to be a little conservative. I would say it's probably closer to the 200 range, but we'd have to do the math to figure out the exact amount. I know it is hovering over $100,000, which is where the thumbnail came from. Now, going through here with the $1 million Manus Build in Public Challenge, I wanted to look at these people that were saying, oh, I'm going to vibe code a business and get to $1 million. And I wanted to show you how I do this in a real world way, how I'm using AI and Manus to build real online businesses, including some that you will see here, live in public from nothing. Now, going through here, there's an important earnings and results disclaimer. You've heard me say that I've made lots of money online. I've been doing this since the dawn of internet time almost. I want you to realize that most people who attempt to make money online make little or even nothing. The vast majority make nothing. What you're seeing here, this is results of lots of work, trial, error, effort. I mean, there's been times I've stayed up round the clock trying to learn this stuff. Not recommended, but sometimes you do what you got to do. Now, understanding how this works, we need to go through and understand that Manus is not just about another AI tool. If you're out there and you think you're going to fire up claude bot and make a bunch of money overnight, or fire up Manus and make a bunch of money without oversight, you got another thing coming. What we're going to do is we're going to be using 3 different platforms. First, ChatGPT. Okay, we're going to build on ChatGPT. I'm using this for speed. Then we're going to go through and have Manus execute and build the bulk of things and use it for coding and automation and different things like that. And then I am going to be the director. Now, when I look at this, some of my outsourcers cost anywhere from $100 to $250 a week, whereas Manus costs $200 to $400 a month, and it can do the work of dozens of them 24/7. If you are not seeing the power of this, you're probably going to struggle with AI and making money with AI, because if you don't see the power of this, you're missing out entirely. What Manus can now do compared to what other people were doing years ago, months ago, or even weeks ago is insane. Starting to understand the ability to structure and do things that make money. That's what this is about. I actually have a grid here we're going to go through over here, where we're going to talk about the different things that I do and the different things that I build. One of the ones that we're going to talk about building in public is the business. You guys might have seen it. It is the business of personality prompts. This was an idea I had where I was like, okay, what if we were able to boil down the personality types of successful people and boil that into a prompt? So I didn't want to go out there and be like, oh, let's make a prompt that's like the Elon prompt or the Jeff Bezos prompt, because that's, that's their name and everything like that. But what I did want is, what is it that makes these people think differently? Like, if you could ask an entrepreneur one question, you're going to get a different answer from Jeff Bezos, from Bill Gates, from Elon Musk, from all these other people. And if we can understand what that magic is, that was the idea behind this business. So I want you to follow along with this business. This is one of the ones we're going to be building up really big in this Build in Public Challenge. And I'm going to show you behind the scenes of what's actually working. So the idea was, okay, all these people are hyped up on AI. They want to use AI for different things. What if I could take and boil down a certain set of ideas, a certain set of thoughts, a certain set of tools, maybe a certain set of systems, and take that and boil that down and say, okay, well, what if I was able to give this to someone? So think about it like this, right? Everyone recognizes this. That is the McDonald's Golden Arches. Why was that company successful? Were they successful because they have really good food? Yeah, I don't think that's it, because they don't. Were they successful because it was marketed properly? Well, maybe, but there was one thing that set that apart from every other hamburger business out there. And what it was the systems. When Ray Kroc went into McDonald's as a salesman for milkshake machines, he saw that they had a system where they had a little lazy Susan and they were making hamburgers super fast in a systematic way where they got consistent output fast. So that's what that was about, was consistent output fast. It wasn't about the food. It wasn't really about the marketing. It was about the speed and the system behind it. So if I could go through and use AI to find those systems, this is where the magic happens. How many of you guys want to see right here, right now, let me know in the chat box, how exactly this would work, how to understand different ways of seeing things online. Google had something very important that other businesses did not. What they had was the ability to search the web in a different way. Their algorithm worked better than other algorithms, which is why they worked. Everything else is fluff. If you understand that the systems, the tools, the thoughts, the ideas, and the sets behind everything is what makes it work, then what we can do is we can boil it down and create that with Manus AI or a different AI and show you exactly what's going on, how it works, where everything fits in. To show you how this works, what I would do is I would start with something like ChatGPT, and I'll actually build this out as part of the personality prompts tool so you can see what this works like. We're going to go through with ChatGPT, and I'm going to say McDonald's and Google and other major companies have something specific that made them work in the beginning. Think about how Amazon started with books because they had lots of SKUs or products. Think about how McDonald's heavily relied on fast systems for rapid, consistent output, because that's what it was about. That was at the time the world was changing. People wanted to eat in their cars and be fast about things, and the quality of food declined rapidly. But going through and having fast systems for rapid, consistent output, and think about how Google had an algorithm of organizing and searching the world's information. Find 100 companies and list their secrets like this. Include my examples redone. Okay, watch this. How many of you guys are looking at this and you're like, okay, this is cool. This makes sense. Not a lot of people use AI like this, but where are you going with it? What we want to do is we want to understand what makes this worthwhile. Google is able to index information and make it searchable, which is why they make hundreds of billions of dollars a year. So if we could tap into what that's about or tap into something like that, well, then we can get something better. Lots of search engines have come up where it's like, here's the safe search engine, here's the search engine for electricians or whatever it is. If we can understand that secret sauce, then what we can do is we can categorize information different. Because when it gets down to it, the entire internet, all of our internet businesses, everything relies on a power cord and relies on data on screens. That's literally all it is. Once you demystify the fact that everything is data on screens, like right now, you're listening to me, but there's some code somewhere that's like 01805 pixel 19 should be green. That's what's happening behind the scenes. And once we understand that, it's like, okay, now I get that AI could literally build anything that I want. Code, pages, tools, systems, dissect information. And as I've said many, many times in my career, information structured differently can make you rich. Google structured information differently. That is literally what they did, and now they have $1 trillion empire. So if we can go through and take something like this and say, okay, Marcus, that's kind of interesting. How many of you guys think that's interesting? Let me know in the box and say, yes, this is interesting. I would like to learn how these work. And you see here, Amazon started with books because books had millions of SKUs. McDonald's speedy service system, Google's PageRank, Facebook algorithm. Okay, so now we have all of these, which is cool. You got Udemy, marketplace for independent instructors, Coursera, university courses made accessible online. So now, what would this be worth? Like, you look at this and you're like, okay, well, this is just information. It's another page on the internet. The internet doesn't really need more pages, but this could be turned into something of value. So if I go through and I copy this, and then I go into like Manus AI over here, okay? The benefit of Manus AI is that it can do bulk tasks at the same time. So I could run a whole bunch, just like if I had a whole bunch of employees. Starting to understand this and starting to know what it is we want exactly is key. So I could go through and I could say, what would I want to do with this information? So I have all this stuff from ChatGPT. Okay, it's interesting. I could make a report. I could give the report away. Okay, cool. I could make a video about the top 100 things that make different entrepreneur things different. I could make 100 short videos. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, that's just more content. How would I actually turn this into money? Well, what I would want to do is I'd want to think about what each of these means, what each of these would actually do, and how it would be helpful to entrepreneurs. So I could go through and I could say, well, how and why would this be helpful to entrepreneurs, right? We'll go like this, and this will go through and it'll give us a little idea of how it works. This is how I go through and I use AI to shift it in a different way. The mind is like a lens, and AI is like a lens. You get what you focus it on. If you focus it on garbage and junk and spam and stupid things, that's what you're gonna get. If you focus on very high-level thought things that other people can't really replicate the way that we can, that's going to start to change the game. Much like when I started Personality Prompts, that business has done quite a bit of money. I haven't really done much with it since October when I started it. I will tell you, when I started it, I was on the way to a concert in Tampa, which is about 3 hours from here. And I woke up a little bit early, started building it. 5 hours later, 3 hours later, I had something done ready to take to market. I even went through and have Manus made the sales letter, and that sales letter actually sold better than some of my sales webinars, which was actually pretty cool. So now what happens is this is gonna say, it helps you find the real advantage, not the surface idea. How many of you guys, as entrepreneurs, as people who wanna make money online, you would like to find the real advantage, not the surface idea? A lot of people are talking about surface ideas. Go sell socks as a drop shipper. Go get some mugs and put a Bible verse on it and sell it. Go build some kind of software as a service and go do that. That's the surface idea. What we want is the real advantage. I want to give people an advantage that's going to make them zero in on something that they know will work. A lot of people ask me all the time, Marcus, how do you know something's going to work? How did you know Personality Prompts would work and it was worth your time? Well, one, I knew it would work because of the system and the idea behind it. And two, well, I make it work. Very important. So going through here, this is going to give us the real advantage. It's going to force us to find that advantage, okay? And you can see it boiled it down. And then it prevents it from random idea chasing. So how many of you guys as entrepreneurs, you'd be like, this would be helpful? I would like something to end info overload and help me understand exactly what the advantage is of being able to make money online. So now what I could do is I could take this list here, okay? I could take this whole thing with the big list, right like this. Okay, let's include core leverage insight up here. Okay, so now what I can do with Manus, this is where we get into actually building a business. So if I wanted to build a business with Manus, let's see if we can get this here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start off and I'm going to say, let's take this list of 100 special sauces in businesses and make a report on each one. The report should have the idea, what it's called, how it works, what industries or businesses it's best applied to, think online and off, plus other similar businesses that use similar models and what they are called. Plus, let's make at the bottom, or let's make another file that has a JSON prompt that answers a niche with that way of thinking. So like, I'm in the magic tricks niche, apply the McDonald's framework ECT. So 2 files each line. We can do, let's do name the files for the type, not the business. i.e., Amazon would be many SKUs, what's a SKU? How do you spell SKU? SKU, there we go. SKUs, massive traffic. Then you would name them many, I'll paste that in there. That's our stuff from ChatGPT. Many SKUs, massive traffic dot txt, many SKUs, massive traffic, prompt dot txt. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to help us get away from we don't want to actually use McDonald's name. You're probably fine because it is a concept rather than something else, but just to be on the safe side. This is what I did with personality prompts. That way we're not like, hey, think like Elon Musk. It was, okay, what's behind it? Now, going through understanding this is very, very important. So what's going to happen is this is going to create, and when I'm done, I should have over 200 files. Let's also say, make an HTML file of each with both on it. And we'll do .html. HTML, and have one big HTML with the index of everything. Okay, and what's going to happen is you're going to understand this can actually turn into a business, because what will happen here is I'm going to make a software out of this, and I'm going to make a tool out of this where I can go through and it's going to look like this. Okay, so it's like a front end. When you look at this, this is how the entire internet works. You have a front end. Let's see if this will fit over here. There we go. You have a front end, which is what the users see. Front end. Like you go to Google, you see a Google page. That's the front end. Now behind the scenes, there's data centers and giant computers and scripts and files and terabytes of all this stuff. Okay, so here's the terabytes, right? The front end, which is what you see, goes here, and the terabytes are hey, this guy searched for elephant. Let's run it through all these checks, make sure that none of this happens, make sure it actually shows elephants, make sure all of this happens, and boom, it goes back to the customer, and the customer's like, yay, here's some elephants. That's what makes them happy. That's what makes Google a $1 trillion company. So now in our business, you're going to have a front end, which is what the user sees, and you're going to have the back end, which is a bunch of files and things that make stuff work. Very simple. So what we're doing here is we're making the files and stuff that things work on. So now we're going to have 300 files. If I make a front end tool and I'm like, hey, I want you to find the best framework run that framework, pull it into the front end. Now I can create an entire business around this magic finder for sales or business or whatever. How many of you guys are following along? If you're following along, smash the like button. Let me know in the chat box if you're lost. Let me know you're lost, because I want to make sure that you guys understand this, because if I can build this out, you're going to see exactly how this works with something like personality prompts. Over at personalityprompts.com, this is the business I set up here, where you could go through and you can actually log in. It's an actual business, right? And it's made some good money. What happens here is you can actually log in and it'll give you all of that stuff. So when you log in, you get all kinds of domains and different things like this. And then you're going to see like copywriting and marketing. This is where all the files are, right? So these are literally TXT files that pull up. So being able to have this, all I had to do was make one page. If I dump more PHP or TXT files in here, boom, we're ready to go. Okay? How many of you guys are seeing this and understanding, oh, this makes sense. So you got the no BS direct marketer. Here's a prompt for that. So what this was kind of like a repository of all the different prompts that I created based on things that I would want. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be different, because like everyone has prompts. You go to Facebook, there's like prompts galore. There's tons of prompts. What I wanted is I wanted something different that was based on something people would actually use. Again, this is the idea of information structured differently can make you lots of money if done correctly. When you start to understand this and you say, wait a minute, so what does Manus literally do? Well, Manus can find information and it can structure it in a different way, which can help me make money. Arthur says Manus is expensive, isn't it? Manus, I think the lowest level is $29 or $39, but I don't look at it as expensive. I look at it as what I'm getting out of it. Like I can go and hire a bunch of outsourcers, but using Manus for $400, which is what I spent on it last month, and I'll show you what the credits look like, because we went through and did a lot of stuff so that you can see it. But what you're going to see is the value of what you're using it for. If you are wondering if tools in business is expensive, unfortunately, that is the wrong question to ask, right? When you look at something as expensive or not expensive, that's not what I look at. I look at what is the output I'm getting and what is it going to earn me. If I can go through and spend $400 a month on Manus and turn around and use what I get from Manus to make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month or more, well then, is Manus expensive? No. Because if I'm able to get that output using Manus, but I'm not if I don't have it, the opportunity cost is more expensive than what I think the expense of Manus actually is. This is when you start to think like an entrepreneur and you start to think different. Now, caveat, I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying go buy a bunch of tools and you're gonna get rich. Not at all. Buy what you need at the time you need it, use what you need, get some money, and then buy other stuff. Far too many people, they front load and they're like, oh, I got ClickFunnels and I got this and I got that. And you have a million different things and you haven't made a dime yet. This is where I go in and I'm like, guys, if you can sell something with a PayPal button, go do it. And when you get your first sale, then get a funnel builder if you think you need it. However, for me, I used PayPal standalone till about 2011. That's when I got Infusionsoft. So for 11 years of my business, we literally used internal PayPal buttons. That's what it was. I didn't even have like a fancy shopping cart, and it worked really well. I was reading a story about someone who uses another very simple one, and they're doing millions of dollars a year with it. We need to build based on what we want, and we need to focus on lean, mean machines that get things done. What is the value proposition? So going through here, if I take something like this thing I'm making over here in Manus, and I have these files, okay? So now it's gonna go through and it's gonna say, oh, this is gonna cost 1,000 to 5,000 credits. So usually it overestimates, but for me, let's look at this. Let's break it down. So 5,000 credits. Right now I get 85,000 credits for $400 a month. Okay? So 400 bucks for 85,000. So if we look at that, 5,000 credits is approximately, let's see, I think I made a calculator at one point. Let's do 400 over 85,000. That would be approximately, let's say, a half a penny a credit, I think is the right way to look at that. So a half a penny a credit, 0.005 times 5,000 is approximately $25. So this is the question I have to ask myself. Is it worth $25 to get 100 reports on special sauce in business ideas, a prompt based on that, and an HTML file and SKUs with the HTML? Okay, actually, there we have the HTML, and then one big index. How many of you guys, I want you to type 25 in the box if you're like, this is totally worth 25 bucks. If you don't, type not sure. Because what we're gonna see here is we're gonna run this, and this can actually do a really, really good job if we understand what we're doing it for. Now, a lot of people don't understand what they're doing this stuff for, and that's why they're just doing busy work, and that's why ChatGPT seems like, oh, hey, I can create whatever I want, that's good. But we need to look at why we're creating it, what is the purpose? In my mind, I have this value proposition that is like, okay, if I create this, I will have the magic business sauce tool, prompt set. We can make an AI tool out of it. And what would be the benefit? So I can go through and I can think about this, and this is part of what I'm going to do with personality prompts, and you can see it. So we'll go through and I will do, I think we had our ChatGPT. Now think about what I could name this as. Like, what would be the benefit to entrepreneurs and business people, or even would-be business people? Like, run your idea through this magic business sorter idea thing. It'll understand what I mean. So now going through here, if we start to look at this, okay, so what you're describing is basically a framework entrepreneurs can run ideas through to see if an idea has real leverage mechanism behind it, not just another business idea. So the name should communicate something like idea, validation, hidden advantage, business leverage, the secret behind successful companies. Think of it like a filter or machine you run ideas through. Here are some directions. Business idea X-ray reveals the hidden structure. Unfair advantage test. Billion-dollar pattern engine. I like that. I really like that one. The idea stress test. Business leverage machine. Startup secret detector. Idea filter. I like this one, the billion-dollar pattern engine. So I'm going to go with that because it says what it is. Like, okay, this is going to recognize patterns in businesses, and it's going to fit it to what you want. Okay, or whatever your idea is. So now, going through here, it's building these pages, starting at 68, so we should be able to get a demo by the time we're done here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a box where all of this will show up. So again, looking at the personality prompts idea here, what I have is folders. Each folder has a file, which is this index file. That file calls these TXTs and pulls them into here. Okay? Very simple. It's what it is. This is literally a business. Okay? And going through here, what we want to do is we want to think about what this would look like if I was going and making this for a local business or people who do book writing, right? Maybe I could go through and do the same exact thing. I start with ChatGPT and I say, list the top 250 best-selling books and the reason they were best sellers based on the title and positioning, or what it offered the users. Let's do all, what would it be, nonfiction? All nonfiction only. Last 5 years. That way we're not getting like way old books. Or let's do actually, you know what? I think this will work for all books since we're doing the nonfiction ones. So let's do this. And what would happen is now we're going to get something that we can turn into a business. And if you're an author, you can plug it in and actually make it work. Think and Grow Rich promised a direct formula for wealth during the Great Depression. How to win friends and influence people, offered practical social success skills anyone could apply. Spiritual guidance on life and meaning. Here we have all these here, okay? Now list them all in a code box numbered. So I can copy easily. So what this will do is this will give us a framework for books that actually get results. Okay, boom. Now we'll go through. Okay, add in the description of why they sold well, please, on each. Because it just, for whatever reason, it got rid of that. But going through here, see how changing this information, what's going to happen is you are going to extract and invent a market that didn't exist, right? Like I could literally create a market that didn't exist by saying, oh, here's this new tool that you must have that solves this problem of not knowing how to name your book, not knowing how to value your book, not knowing whether it's going to work well. Then I could package this into an entire system that will help authors come up with something that'll actually work. Or we were looking at this with workouts, right? Like I was thinking about it with my gym coach, and I was like, what if we had a dashboard kind of thing, and you can have different workouts and stuff like that? That would be valuable, and that's the kind of thing that we can make and build a business. So going through here, add in the description of why they would work, and look how Manus works. This is the kind of thing. We're at 100 out of 100. It took 11 minutes. We'll take a look at what the credits actually ate up as, because I don't think it was super crazy. Probably wasn't close to the 25 bucks, which would have been 500 credits. But let's see what actually came out of it, because if we get these things that we can actually use, now we're off to the races, and it thinks in a different way. Obviously, you could set things in and be like, okay, fact check, make sure it's good, different stuff like that. But understanding, hey, wait a minute, this will do the work you need it to do. Let's go through. Let's see how this one's coming. So we have our $1 billion pattern engine. Now we have the book one, right? Deep work, focus as a competitive advantage, escaping social media distraction. So these are the top books. Like we know they sell. Do you guys see how extracting specific data can become an actual business? How we're like, oh, I can think about this different. Like anyone can go and look this stuff up and find out all these things. But this is something that'll actually work in a very, very strategic, very specific way. That's why here on this channel, we have videos that are very strategic. They might not be super popular and super catchy, but it's all about the strategy. Like I can go out there and I can make 100 videos about how to make a t-shirt with a heart on it and go sell it. But at the end of the day, it's not about the t-shirt with the heart on it. It's about the strategy that makes that sell in the first place. If I can extract that from whatever I'm trying to do, which is what Manus AI is perfect at, then I can get something super, super specific based on a strategy I know works, based on stuff I know will get traffic, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, of course, understanding this is a business. You might have something you think works and it might not work. Vast majority of people make nothing. What we're doing is trying to find the strategy of why did something work the way it worked when it worked? Why did that work? Now, going through here with Manus, we're gonna see, hopefully it doesn't time out. Let's take a look here. There we go. Going through here with Manus now, it's still working. Okay, all these, so we have a report, 100 reports, 100 JSON prompts, individual HTMLs, and 1 master index. If everything worked right, we should be able to download this, save, and let's see. Save. Of course, it wants to be slow today, but we'll see. Should work. Come on. There we go. So now we have this file, which is a zip file. And with zip files, all you got to do is extract them. So we'll just do extract all, right, like this. It'll extract them, and now we're getting on the path to making this work. If I was to have an employee do all of this stuff, it would probably take, let's say my fastest outsourcer. Without AI, it would probably take him a week or two. With AI, he could probably do these in like 2 days. I literally got them in 11 minutes, formatted the way I want with no errors. So when we go through here, I should be able to click on the index file. Let's see, index, there we go. And the index file should have everything with it. So let's open that up. So 100 business special sauces, 100 frameworks, files generated, AI prompts, complete collection. So we have access over ownership, view. Here's what it is, okay? And notice how it actually went to the HTML. So there it is there. Framework name, access over ownership, business framework without needing to purchase. Best industries, business types, similar businesses using this, Netflix, Zipcar. This is pretty cool. This I can turn into an actual business. How many of you guys are understanding this and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I see where you're going. How many of you guys don't know where I'm going yet? Let me know, because this is super important. This is where we build in public, and this is how I'm taking something like Manus and turning it into $1 million business. So going through here, I have these. I don't super like the HTML idea. I'm going to say, let's go back to our Manus. Let's see what it costs first. So we'll go usage. We have $271. So like legit cost like next to nothing. That was literally next to nothing. Crazy. So, I mean, I don't even think I can calculate that in pennies. It was so cheap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say now add txt files that are the write-up with write-up like on the HTML, but text version. Okay, cool. I could even have it go through and interlink them. Like, hey, if you find this is the strategy that Netflix uses, you could link it over here and have like a big interlink, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's go through here, and we have add txt files. So now you're gonna see why I want the txt files. This is kind of important. Okay, so multi-file content with HTML, yes. Report. Yes. Okay, so apparently I don't need to accept it. It's just going to do it anyway. But let's see what happens here. Now, while we're going through, let's take a look at this other one we made. So we have all these books. Let's open another Manus over here. Here we go. And let's say, look at what made all these books work. Find the methods, the USP value proposition, naming, type, really dig in to why these sold well. Then make a txt file write-up on each. Name it what it was. Actually, we could probably use the names because that is public knowledge. Obviously, be careful. You want to make sure you have the rights to everything you're using. So if I wanted to be a little extra careful here, I could take and say our ChatGPT was over here somewhere. So I could take and say like niche markets beating mass markets. So I would go through and I would just take this one. So let's paste it in there first. That pastes the whole batch. Then I would go through and take our ChatGPT and I would say example this would be Promised repeatable formula for wealth. Okay. Promise of wealth dot txt. Then make a prompt to apply that framework to any book title. Promise of wealth prompt.txt. Super robust JSON prompt that answers in text format. Nice formatting. Report. Make all files. Then make a HTML index. You always want to do your index as HTML because then you can click and see them. If you did an index in TXT, it'll just have a list that's not clickable. So HTML index with links to all files, descriptions, like a big directory. Okay, this is how we go through and build this out. So that's going to have all of them. It's going to be a lot because it's 250 of them. But again, if I can use these with a specific formula and understand, oh, hey, here's formulas for all this stuff that worked, I could boil that into a product that would help authors. Everyone following along? So now we'll go through, we'll have this here. Let's take a look at what we have here. So again, it's not just about another AI tool. We need to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an investor. What is it that we are building? Instead of write a single paragraph or a page or an SEO article, we want to build an entire niche business. Instead of fixing a sentence, create 100 assets at once. Instead of generating a tweet, build a complete product. One slow task at a time versus running 3 businesses simultaneously. Trade time for output versus multiplying yourself with AI. If you guys were not part of our product class, definitely check that out. I think we still have it on Join Marcus, but definitely check out the Manus workshop too. Going through and understanding that is key because now we can build all this and now we have all of our files here. So let's download this, save, and see what happens here. Let's see, is this the new one? It should have downloaded the new one. Download, save as. Okay, so there it is there. Open. Where's that new one? Refresh. There we go. Okay, so here we have this one. We'll go and extract it. All right, like this. And now we have our output. So we have access prompt. So now going through here, let's say algorithm over audience. So we have a prompt for algorithm over audience, which looks like this. Okay? So now I could go through and I can go to like ChatGPT over here and let's say new chat. I am making, let's see. Well, let's call it the, what was it? The $1 billion pattern engine. $1 billion pattern engine that helps entrepreneurs validate and find successful angles for any business or idea. And let's run the prompt. So this will be the algorithm. So this will take my idea and it'll run the algorithm over audience framework application. How many of you guys are like, that's valuable? As a business person, if I wanted to go into a niche, this would help me understand like Google, right? So algorithm over, what was it? Algorithm over audience, okay? So now we have, what you're describing is essentially a $1 billion pattern engine system entrepreneurs run ideas. Your prompt is already strong, but if the goal is validation. So here we have this, and I think it might have misunderstood. Run the prompt on my idea so it applies that framework to my idea. So I might need to go through and tweak those prompts, even though it will be more files and more time and a little bit more money on Manus. I need to make sure it works properly, because that's really where everything is. It's not about the bulk of files and the amount of things, it's about what those things do. It is never about the thing itself. Like when you watch a movie on Netflix, it's not about the digital movie you're watching, it's about the actual content of the movie that makes it work. So looking at here, billion-dollar pattern analysis, it's kind of like George Costanza said, he said, well, why would they be watching it? Because it's on TV. It's like, okay, well, they're not just gonna watch anything because it's on TV. It needs to be something they want to watch. Billion-dollar pattern engine analysis, core problem being solved, idea validation, business clarity, patterns detected, example, Google. So this is the pattern, organized business knowledge, tool for a painful job return, algorithmic distribution. I don't like this. This is not what I wanted. So what I'm gonna do is say, what could I do to change the prompt because I want it to apply that to my idea. Like, here's my idea, here's how to use the algorithm over audience with that idea only. Let's see if this will start to understand it. And this is what I do. This is how I build businesses. This is how I go through and think about, how am I going to tweak this? How am I going to make it work? What are we going to give to the end user, and how can we work it? So here we have algorithm over audience, digital growth strategist. Okay, so now let's try this. We'll open a new ChatGPT. We'll do this, example output. Okay, let's see if we can boil this down. So let's say I want to sell emotional support plushies. Okay, let's see how that would work with this idea. Idea, emotional support plushies. The business sells this. Instead of selling generic, the product becomes searchable emotional tools. Anxiety relief, breakup. Do you guys see? That's the magic. How many of you guys were able to see that's what you're looking for? This right here on screen, this is what we're looking for. Then, how does it fit? Emotions drive searches, engagement, shares, saves, comments. People search for things like things to help anxiety, comfort gifts for depression, how to stop overthinking, gifts for someone going through a breakup. Highly relatable, highly shareable, visible. Where algorithms can drive, TikTok, this is what we want. How many of you guys see the night and day difference from what this said for my idea versus this? And let's run it on mine just to make sure that it's working. So we'll do business, let's say my business idea, the $1 billion framework, a tool entrepreneurs and business people can use to validate and change the direction or thought on their business idea. Okay, so we'll go like that. Let's put this in here. Okay, so now we have what you've built is close to something, blah, blah, blah. $1 billion framework prompt improved. Okay, is this not getting it? Prompt assumes the idea, how to distribute it. Okay, where this becomes a big idea. $1 billion run any idea. Will platforms promote your idea for free? There you go. That's the magic. Okay, what we're looking for is that one magic thing. Like, think about if you were a TV show person. I remember I was watching the reunion of the Friends TV show, and I remember watching it because the guy who directed it, basically after watching the first pilot and the interaction, he was like, okay, enjoy your trip, because this is the last trip you're going to take before you're recognized everywhere, because this TV show is going to be a hit. How did he know
that TV show was going to be a hit. It wasn't a guess. It wasn't a I hope. It was, this is going to work because I see this one thing. That's what we're looking for, because that's the magic. If you had that, you could make TV shows that would work over and over and over and over and over again. And when we understand that, that is the magic. It doesn't matter any of the other stuff. That's the one thing. So if we can find that magic in whatever it is we're trying to make, that's where it's going to work, right? I remember years ago, I was coming up with my first digital product idea my first big digital project idea. And a friend of mine was like, well, why don't you name it Simple Sites, Big Profits? I was like, okay, that's brilliant. He knew to name it that way because he was a namer guy. That's what he did. And I'm glad he did, because it worked really well. With a bad name, it wouldn't have worked, because you have to have that value proposition in it. Far too many people are missing that, and that's why their stuff does not work. You can have the best product ever, but if it's not positioned correctly, it's not going to work. Are you telling me that there's no better book on meeting friends than How to Win Friends and Influence People? There's probably a million other books written by psychiatrists that will get you better stuff. But the fact is, that one worked. Why did it work? Because it had that magic sauce. So if we can make tools and things that have the magic sauce, that's what's going to happen. So going through here, looking at where our files are, okay? So we have all these files here. We got another algorithm, all of these here. We can even go through and do another pass and say, make sure the algorithms have this. So let's do now separate the algorithms alone, or not the algorithms, the prompt files alone. Make sure when I say something above the prompt, like my business idea or whatever, it applies the framework in the prompt to that idea and answers by framing my product, offer, or business in that strategy or framework. Make all prompt files, again, same name. No, then also make, let's just do same name and one big index.html. I might not use the index.html. That's just going to be for me to keep organized. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put this on our server over here. So we'll go over here. And when I upload this, what I can do is I can have these folders. And this is why I wanted to show you how all of this works, because if I go through and open up personality prompts over here, I'll show you what it looks like. Let's see. Where'd it go? I know there's like a folder, files. There we go, file manager. In the file manager for personality prompts, right? This is what it looks like. You just get web hosting and it's super easy. Okay. What I'm doing is I go to public HTML, and then you can see all your folders here. So it all correlates with whatever folder it is. So personalityprompts.com, that's going to be right here. And I think it's a WordPress file. So that's the WordPress. And then when you go to logins, it goes to content. So let me shrink this down a little so you could see on the bottom here. See over here, login goes to content. Okay. So content should be a folder here called content. There it is. Then in content, you have all these other things. So here we have copywriting and marketing, copywriting. Okay. And what I have here, just to make it easy on myself, is I have an index file that picks up the other files, right? So it's like, hey, check for these files. And this is something I built in AI. This is not, I wouldn't know how to program this. I mean, maybe, but without AI, I would have had to ask my programmer to do it. But what this does is it literally says, any TXT file, list it, make it pop up in this box. Super simple. So like if I went to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, Claude's actually really good at this. I could go over here to Claude, and I can be like, okay, let's make a branded HTML file for my business. Let's call it $1 billion frameworks. And this file finds any txt file in the folder and pulls up a pop-up window, inline pop-up, because we don't want like a weird pop-up, inline pop with the contents of the txt. Also, the list should show the name without extra stuff. So whatever this is .txt would list as whatever this is. Simple. Okay, that should get it. Then you can say have a footer and a header and a logo and all that. We'll get to that in a bit, but this is the basic structure of the file. So if I wanted to add this to personality prompts, up a level, let's do folder, billion, boom. You could call it $1 billion framework, but just to make it easy, I'm just gonna put billion. That's easy, right? Go in billion here, you can see it's empty. So if I do /billion, boom, there we go, nothing in it. We could also go through and say view source. So we'll take the source and I could say add the branding from this, please. Actually, you know what? This would actually work, so I could probably just take this one. Let's test it out. New file, index.php. And that's a cool thing is like, once you get going, you just keep building and growing and growing and building and building and growing and everything just works. So let's see if there's anything specific in here. Copywriting prompts. So I would just change copywriting prompts to $1 billion framework prompts. Save. Okay, cool. So now this should change over here somewhere. Where did it go? I think it was billion. There we go. So now we have this here. It looks like it's getting these files from something else. So there's probably something in here, content member live. Let's see where the code is. It's usually pretty easy to find. Like I can't write this stuff, but I can kind of work my way around it. File names, data public. Okay, that's something else. For the logo, we have this here. Copywriter. I think because I copied it. So let's give this. Is it this one? Let's see. Okay. So we'll have to give this to Claude, wherever Claude went. Let's see. File viewer, download. Okay, that's pretty cool. So it made like a cool file. Let's open it and see what happens. Save. And then we could probably get the code, copy. And then let's see, this is billion index, save. Let's reload it. So there we go. So now we have our $1 billion frameworks, no frameworks loaded. I could put my header and footer and everything in there, that's cool. But the cool thing about this, which a lot of people don't notice, is now I can go through and get all of those files that Manus made, which it would have made if I clicked the button, but we'll make them now. And then it'll go through and list them so that we have all those files and now we have all the frameworks. Okay, does that make sense to everyone? That's where we go through and actually build this stuff out so that we can build a business. And then what we would do is we'd think about the marketing with it, because once we have these created, the marketing in it literally markets themselves, because I could go through and make posts and pages and all kinds of stuff like that that are based on what this is. This is a strategy called the product is the marketing, where your product is the actual marketing as well, right? So we could go through and use the marketing that literally is a product. So what would I do? I would make content about hundreds of different business ideas and strategies from big businesses, make little videos about them, make little posts about them, make infographics about them, drive them to the framework, and it'll literally sell itself. Obviously, disclaimer, nothing sells itself. You have to go and sell it and make it work. Most people make nothing. But going through and understanding, okay, this is how you build something that's going to be of value. Then we can go through and talk about, like, how would I make it an actual software? How can I make it to where people can order? These are all things that are actually pretty simple to do. Like if you did it with PayPal, you can have it work with that. If you did it with Amember, which is what I like to use. Amember is a super inexpensive software. I've done a lot of sales with Amember, and it's like $150 one time. Or you could build your own hybrid. Either way. What I would do is really make sure that your idea is solid and make sure it's something that you can run with and something that Manus can actually build for you. Having Manus go out there and do that research is key. And while we're waiting for these, we'll go through a couple more of these notes here. When we look at this, we're going to look at the mind shift from employee thinking to investor thinking. And we're going to look at it like a business assembly line. If I'm going through, what can I create? Could I take a batch of documents and run them through something that makes them work for dentists? Can I run a bunch of businesses or books or something, make it work for these people? Can I build something that people will actually want to use? And having Manus go through and do all that deep research and make those files for you, it's almost flawless, and it does a really, really good job of creating this stuff. So when I go through, I can have it do research, a content factory, product creation, and scaling. This is where you can create playbooks, apply the system to new niches. One of the superpowers of Manus is the ability to extract information from the web in a way that gives you something valuable. For example, there are companies out there like, what is the one? BuiltWith. BuiltWith is a company that charges $500 to several thousands of dollars a month for data that can kind of be found free online anyway. And a lot of people think, oh, well, because it's free, it's not worthwhile. I get people all the time. They're like, I can learn anything I want on YouTube. Yes, you can. You can absolutely learn anything you want on YouTube. You're going to have to listen to a bunch of different videos, find the ones you want, put them together in a way that makes sense, and hope that everyone has everything aligned the way you want. This is why courses are valuable, because you would have to go and find all these different things in a different way, where my stuff, I package it for you. It's all nice, ready to go. Like literally, you can go in the sand and find metal and build a bicycle, but wouldn't you rather go to the bike store? He's already got it done for you. This is where people start to miss the idea of where value is at and where value resides. When you understand that value is a shortcut, a package, something positioned in a different way, a book named something different, files, software that does something different. If you had said 35 years ago, one of the most valuable companies on planet Earth will index information online, people would be like, well, why don't you just go get a free library card and read whatever you want? The value was not seen there by people who were not entrepreneurs. Those who were entrepreneurs were able to see it. That's where we're using Manus's superpower of bulk research. I have literally gone through, and this is why I bring up BuiltWith. A couple years ago, I paid $300 for access to this database of niche products. And I wish it was still available. They shut down and now I can't access it. I wish it was still there. But there are ways to get different sets of data. Imagine, how much would you pay if I had a list of 1,000 successful blogs, the niches they're in, the ways they made money, and proof of the concept, and a keyword report? How many of you guys would be like, dude, I would like take my money, I would pay for that right now. If you were to go to Manus and you know what to prompt it, this is where this can work. And let's see, let's open up a new Manus and I'll show you how this works. See if we can open up a new one here. I think I have a new one over here. I purposely opened a bunch of them. But what I could do is I could learn from the way that I search. So I could go through and say, using something like income reports, find hundreds of blogs making money online. Boom. It'll go do that. This is something that would work if you do it. You just have to go through and focus. And we start to understand, okay, using something like income reports, find hundreds of blogs making money online. It'll go do it. And I've done this many times. Like here's one where we researched a bunch of keywords that have a high paying amount on Google. Here's one we went through. I think there was one, so Pinterest gurus. This went through and extracted all the value of Pinterest gurus. Like what is it that makes a pin work? What are people that work? What are niches that people are making money with Pinterest? Starting to understand that we can extract things like what are the top books that sold? Why did the title work? Here's one for, let's see here, how to create a digital product, AI prompts. I had another one where we went through, here's one where I did a bunch of recovery things, research URLs for earning claims and product details. So this is one I went through and I got a full report of different niches that make money. Now, I'm gonna do this on many, many different sites, but going through here, you could see, okay, what's the product? What did it earn? And it made an entire list of them, right? And I can go through and start to understand this. Now, it's very important to understand we are gathering data for the use of positioning it in something else. You don't wanna do data that you don't have rights to where you're not adding something significant to it. Never do something where you're just like, oh, here's a report that I got from this site. You want to add to it. Think of something different that you can add because one, that's going to make it more valuable, and two, that's where we're going to go through and use it, okay? Too many cats. If you want to see where you can work with us, just go over to joinmarcus.com. You can see all the stuff. Actually, there's a Manus workshop with notes. You can get that. That was a fantastic 4-hour workshop on how I use Manus to make money. Everyone who bought that loved it. I mean, it's a very robust course. You can get that there and that'll help you, okay? So going through here, we can see bulk research is super big. It'll do the bulk research. It'll understand it. Now, that can be a lot of value. Like that is value proposition. I know a lot of entrepreneurs and marketers, they talk about providing value, provide value, but they never talk about what that actually is. Value can be dissected into something like a report, into something that will help someone. What is it that is going to actually work? Like I could give you a batch of 1,000 different niches, but if you don't have something with them, then that's not really gonna work. That is where Manus shines. If I was to go through, and let's say I go to ChatGPT, and I say, list 100 top blog niches, okay? Specific ones with data to back them up. I don't want something like health. I want something like losing weight after 40, ECT. So see how that's gonna go through and it's gonna dissect it? Then what I'm gonna do this for speed because Manus, if you give it this, it's gonna take forever. See how this is going through and it's finding all this? There we go. So now I can take this, parenting, autistic children, sleep training. These are actually pretty good. Now I can go through and I can have Manus find 10 different examples of blogs that work. Examples of keywords. Find affiliate offers. There you go. You want to be a blogger, this would be valuable to bloggers. And going through with Manus, you can do that. Bulk affiliate research. Find affiliate programs in this niche. Extract payout, cookie, approval, landing pages, compile a report. this is stuff that would be very, very valuable. Bulk keyword, bulk problem discovery. Find 100 problems homeowners experience with pest infestations, warning signs, whatever. Bulk statistics. This is another one that's really good. Starting to look at this different is where you're going to have infinite insights. Research reveals everything before you create anything. This is why when I go through and I get a new idea like personality prompts, or we were working on Clipter. This is a product I'm using with Manus as well. We built it with Claude, ChatGPT, and my programmer. I had to cave and have my programmer do it because I don't know programming, but it wasn't super expensive. It's outsourced, so it wasn't like, all in all, this entire business cost 1,000th of what it would 10 years ago. And now what we have is we have this system that works, and we're going through and building it based on things that work. Again, understanding I'm going to spend the bulk of the time making that idea make sense. Most people will go out there and they'll be like, I'm going to be in the health niche. And then they'll write articles and they'll put blogs and they'll do all this. No, I'm going to spend 99% of my time in the beginning on proving that concept and finding that value and making sure that the value is so ridiculously obvious that it's just like, boom, there it is. We want to make sure it is super ridiculously obvious so that there are no chances people can mess it up. Like it needs to be like, here's the next best thing to a box of money, right? That's what we want. Superpower 2 is bulk creation. We've talked about this, where you could use ChatGPT to generate structured lists. Manus processes, Manus creates the files and assets, then you publish and monetize. So going through here, you can go through and do like bulk SEO authority sites, things like that can work. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for something I can sell. If I want to make $1 million online, I'm going to need a lot of traffic. If I'm doing SEO, like most people will never get to $1 million in SEO traffic. In my career, I've never hit $1 million in revenue just from SEO traffic. I've never done that. I've gotten close, high 3s, low 4s, but not $1 million in that. That takes a lot of traffic and a lot of monetization. So understanding, like, this guy's been at it 26 years, 27 years almost, that's going to take a lot. So what I want is the path of least resistance. I want something that's going to work and something I can sell and something that's going to have that value proposition right up front. So going through here and building something like what we're doing with Manus, this can absolutely work, okay? I can go through, I can download all these, save, boom, open file. Let's open it like this so we can extract it. I think it's number 2. Let's refresh this just to make sure. Yeah, I think it's this one. Properties. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so we'll extract this. And it should just be the JSON prompts, the TXT files. Okay, so prompts, access over ownership. So now we have all these. How many of you guys are like, this is valuable? I mean, I don't know if I'd pay like $500 for it, but I probably pay $27, $47 a month for access to these ongoing. If you updated it and made it good, yeah, here's a validator, here's some other tools, something valuable. And what a lot of people miss is $47 a month times 12 months adds up really, really quickly. One of my favorite times of the day is 7 o'clock at night, because every night at 7 o'clock, my rebills hit, and it's like, hey, I made money and I didn't even have to work that day. They just hit over and over and over again. So looking at that, if I can build a recurring revenue, that's gonna work really well. Now I'm gonna rename this index. I'm gonna name it, let's see, rename index main. Just because when I upload these, I don't want it to be confused with my other index. So we're gonna go here. Right over here, this is our folder, okay? So again, for those following along, if not, you might wanna watch this video a couple of times, because we're going over some realistic stuff that a lot of people don't show you. So here we have our $1 billion frameworks, load folder, nothing in the folder, so let's see if I can put this stuff here. So what I will do is I'll click on upload. I'm going to take all of these, boom, drag them over here. If it worked right, it should take them from that folder. Like it should start to populate these. Refresh. Okay, it's not. So what I would need to do is I'd need to take my index file, edit, and okay, we'll leave that open. Let's open a new Claude. This needs to work online in the same folder that I have my txt files. Remove load button, please. And let's see if this does it. It should fix it pretty quickly. All right, let's see what we got here. And then what I'm working on is what I'm going to sell. So I could do that. I could do bulk social content. This is something I'm going to run on the next pass. So now that I have all these, I'm going to look at what marketers do daily. So keyword research, competitor intel, SEO audits, market trends, A/B testing. This is all stuff that you can do with Manus, which is really cool. And so now we have all 100 of these. Now I could say, now let's make a social media post page for these. Here is what I want. Turn each item into a hook that stops them. Then describe the method and who used it. Then say, learn more in comments or prompt in comments, and have 3 to 5 comments they can post below the main post that has more info. And the last prompt takes them to, or the last comment takes them to personalityprompts.com. Okay? One big HTML page with all the frameworks on it, and have a check box that I can check the ones I posted already. Okay, so this will go through and it'll make like a little page we can use, which would be kind of cool. I can give that to my outsourcer and be like, hey, post all these, get me some traffic. And again, since we're leading with value of like, oh, hey, this is the framework McDonald's uses, this is the one that Apple uses, all of this, it is going to be interesting to the entrepreneur market. I can even turn it into short video scripts, right? Then I could say, now turn each one into a short video script on the idea, how it works, ECT, lead with a hook, and make it super engaging, 30 seconds video idea. And then you could even have it make slideshows for each of them. Are you guys seeing how this changes the game and how we're using Manus like it's an actual employee rather than, oh, hey, here's some cute tool I can get a bunch of junk out of. This is the key. So now this is going to do the research on it. So we have all that. Start. And then when it's done, we'll come back and we'll make it work. And even like in this call, I think I only used like a couple thousand of the detailed outline from 2. So that isn't even one I'm running. I think Alina's running that. That's another one Alina's running. So we really only use like less than 1,000 less than 1,000 of them. So going through and looking at this is, if you understand what these tools can do for you, you get away from, oh yay, ChatGPT is some cute tool that can help me, and you get into like, dude, this thing is a money-making machine if you understand how it works and how to direct it. It's about directing it. It's all about having it extract and create the things we want based on what we know works, based on what we know people will pay for, and everything like that. And that's where the rubber meets the road, is looking at that and understanding it. So let's see what happens here. And we'll keep it going. And let's see how our Claude did. So here's our Claude. Auto loads page open. Okay, so download. Let's do the code. Copy. Is it reloading it? Let's reload just to make sure. Reload. Copy. Okay, so now we'll go over here. Make sure it's the index. It is. Save. And let's go back to the $1 billion framework. Drum roll. It should find them. I don't know why it's not finding them. Content billion. Why is it not finding the files? They are all in the same folder the script is in. Sometimes you'll get a little loop here. But again, we're building a business. This is about making things that actually work. If you're expecting it to work right out of the gate, first run, push a button, get rich, that's not going to happen, right? But with AI, it's taken a lot of the junk out of it. So now we have HTML to use it. You need 2 files, PHP that returns the TXT. Directory listing is unreliable, depends on your server exposing HTML listing, which most hosts block. Okay, so you need both. Okay, so here's our index. Copy. Paste. And then what does the other file need to be? Copy. So files.php. I didn't have to do this before. It must be a new thing. Sometimes Claude makes like new stuff. It is the more robust of the two. So now we'll reload it. We have all our files. We're going to do files.php, create, and then I should be able to go down here to files.php, edit, save, maybe let's test it. Looks like it's working. There you go. So now you could see $1 billion frameworks, access over ownership. There's the prompt. Service for physical props, live online workshops, unfair advantage. There you go. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Framework auction price discovery. How to use this prompt. Write your business niche idea on line 1. This is pretty cool, right? So now we have all these things that would work, and it has the prompts in the whole 9 yards. How many of you guys are seeing this as like, oh, okay, now I see how you could turn just simple research into value. That's what we're looking at here. And then when it goes through, watch what happens. Manus is actually going to create all the social media posts that will do this. And I can click posted. That way I don't redo them, which is cool. So the secret to Amazon's dominance isn't just low prices. That would get some pretty good engagement. Amazon didn't just sell books. They built a platform for everything. There are many SKUs, blah, blah, blah. Learn more in the comments. Okay, comment 1, comment 2, comment 3. And the last one says go to personality. I mean, how many of you guys are like, oh, that makes sense. That is something that I can actually use, something people can actually get value out of. Starting to look at these things in a different frame and look at how they work is absolutely key. And I could just give this to an outsourcer and they can go promote it. Then I can go through and say, now turn each to a short video script. Boom, now it's gonna do that. And now what's happening is we're building something around that valuable idea that we made and the valuable research we had. For example, if I went through and I had 1,000 different niches proven by data, well, I can go and post those on social media and be like, oh, hey, did you know people are selling tennis shoes online and basketball shoes online. Here's how they work. Boom, done deal. Then I make a little video about it, make this, make that. This is something that gets engagement and it works. Obviously, it takes some work to do it, but it can work really, really well. When we look at the content multiplier, which is what we're in now, we can use this to make 100 different articles, 1,000 different social posts, 500 emails, infographics. Now, 500 emails and 1,000 social posts is a little excessive, but it can work, right? What we're doing is we're taking one topic, turning it into an article, turning that article into 10 social hooks, 5 emails, infographics, 3 videos. Multiply by 100 topics, entire content ecosystem. Then we go through and we have the productization. When we have something like Prompt Voodoo, you could have prompt libraries, template packs, calculators and tools, micro software as a service apps, checklists, affiliate dashboards. Just this weekend when we had I think it was last weekend, when we had our class for product creation, I want to show you something because this was actually really, really cool. What I do is I do my product creation. Let me show you what it looks like. I'll pull this up. So our product class, product dashboard. So this is what the dashboard looks like, okay? It looks like this. So what I do is I take my content and I package it into something that's super usable, like this little product launcher dashboard, okay? So looking at this here, we're like, okay, here's the little buttons. It's got little trainings. They have little tools and pop-ups and everything like that. This, in my opinion, is the best product creation guide on the internet, hands down. If you don't yet have this, I'll put it on Join Marcus after this call so that you can find it. We'll put it at the bottom. But going through here, this framework, I was like, wait a minute. I'll bet other people would like this framework also. So what if I was able to have Manus look up different frameworks for product dashboards? So I went through and I was like, okay, dashboard. Let's see if it comes up under here. I know Manus's search is kind of wonky, but hey, what are you going to do? It's good at everything else. If it can't search, that's fine. But what we'll do is we'll look for that and we'll see where that comes up. So we have Manus as employee, 50 ideas, vibe-coded SaaS niches, stand store. Okay, I might need to find it somewhere else, but I know I was creating like a list of all of these pages and stuff, and that's where the value was in, okay, if I can make these frameworks and then give them to people and have the AI actually turn their product into a software framework, well, then there's where the value is. And I'm not sure where it's at. We did go over it in that class. Oh, process dashboards? Maybe it was this. No, it wasn't that. But we had different kinds of things there that worked. And when you understand that that's the value, that's the key. Okay. And if you didn't join the product class, like that was one of the best classes we've had in a long time. It's insane. So we will put that up for you. But yeah, going through here, how can I add different things to it? Calculators, tools, different stuff like that. Then when we scale, we're going to analyze the best performing whatever, video, product, whatever, and we're going to base everything on it. We are the architect. That's the key, is understanding we are the architect of making this stuff work. We are the ones that go through and focus, okay? Starting to understand that, that's how we build valuable stuff. That's how we create things that will actually work. That's how we have Manus go through and do keyword research, competitor intel, SEO audits, market trends, A/B testing. Maybe you go through and you're like, okay, what are 100 different types of articles that work well online? Okay, let's boil that down into prompts that people can use. Oh, hey, what are 50 different ways that people monetize a blog post? Okay, can I boil those into different tools and things like that? Different types of copywriting, different types of things that people use. This is where you start to build, and this is where we're building in public, looking at like, okay, I can create this. I can make things that have that value. I can make things that people will actually want to use. Then going through, here's all of our video scripts, right? So we have first 3 seconds is the hook. What if the secret to endless customers is simply more products. Amazon faced a huge problem, how to dominate online retail. Their answer wasn't just lower products. Amazon built an empire by offering millions of unique product SKUs, each product. I mean, this is valuable stuff to entrepreneurs. And one of the things you want to realize is value to you might be different than value to another market. Like to a guy who likes to work out, value is printable workout posters. To people who like to eat cake, they're not going to care about the workout posters because they're too busy eating the cake or whatever. When we understand they would like cake recipes. Everyone has their own thing that they listen to. Everyone has their own language, their own verbiage in their market. When you talk about entrepreneur market, there's certain things that we talk about that others don't. We use terms like vibe coding. Reminds me of A Few Good Men. We use words like honor, code, right? And you start to look at that and understand these are the words that we use. These are the things that make our stuff valuable. When you think about the glossary method and all of the different things that I teach you here, this all fits together and it comes together in your product. Starting to understand everything is super, super important. Someone says, can you set up clear guardrails with Manus? A specific URLs Manus can only draw from. Of course, you can set up whatever you want. Like it is literally a blank slate until you tell it what you want it to do. And that is the problem so many people have with AI is it is a blank slate. Like I'm looking at the canvas and I'm like, what am I gonna paint? I could paint an elephant, I can paint abstract, I can paint a water scene, I could paint the moon. I could do whatever I want to do. And when you understand that, it's about focusing it for the thing that's going to make you money. Picking a direction, validating it, and making it work, and then building it out like this. Now that I have this, could I charge $7 a month for the $1 billion business framework finder? I probably could. I could probably sell that like now. Now I understand that that's something I have, and then I could build it up later and say, well, maybe we can add a software to it. Maybe I could do a webinar every week where we validate your business ideas. Maybe I can have this other thing. And you start to understand, wait a minute, this is about so much more than I thought. This is about really narrowing down on that value. And when you start to build and grow, what we're gonna do is niche research and validation. So I'm gonna be building this. If you guys like this, let me know as a comment below. Type build in public. We are going to be building the personality prompts up over the next couple of months. So probably do one video a week on it. Just kind of update you and show you what we're doing. Kind of keep track of what's going on, keep track of how much it's earning and how it works and everything like that. Showing you guys how to get an audience, because I know a lot of people, they're like, well, Marcus, that's easy for you. You have a following. Well, yes and no. I mean, some people are getting more views than I get in my niche with a brand new channel. It's about good content positioned correctly, not about what you've built before. If you're saying it's because you have an audience, yes, there is something to that. Like I can get income faster, but that's not to say you can't build it. Everyone started with 0 followers. Everyone did. So if you understand that and you're like, okay, well, it's actually easier for me now because I can use AI to figure out how people got 100,000 followers fast. That's why you're seeing people that are beating the game. I mean, I remember 2003 was the first day an internet marketer made $1 million in one day. Now it's been surpassed. People have made way more. There's influencers that are making $7 million in like a couple of minutes. Fact check that. I think that's a recent report. Obviously results not typical, implied, or guaranteed. But why are they able to do that? Why was there one guy who was able to run the 3-minute mile and then everyone else started doing it and doing even better? Because now it's proven. Now you know you can do it, and you can figure out what they did. Oh, the guy who ran the 3-minute mile, he ate eggs. Oh, okay, well, eggs make us faster. Okay, success leaves clues, and there are shortcuts along the way that you can look at what worked. And you can look at, okay, instead of having to reinvent the wheel and understand how to build an audience from scratch, I could simply do what worked. I can model what worked. I can focus on what worked. Now we can use AI and say, what are the top 100 hooks that always work on social media? Great, now apply that to this. Now apply that to this. Far too many people think that it's this giant uphill battle when in actuality, back when I started internet marketing, we didn't have gurus teaching us this. We had to go and learn it. Yeah, it was easier to rank on Google back then, 100,000%. But you also had to figure out what made it work, and you had to wait 6 months for it to work. Right now, where you're at, you can have a TikTok and have it rank in Google literally instantly. You can do a press release. It'll show up on all the sites instantly. And if you're building something like this, it can work really, really, really well. I think the first one to do 1 million in a day was actually John Reese. I believe so. You know, and looking at that's really cool. And I'll never forget, I was in a challenge with John Reese, and I think we beat him on the leaderboard, which was kind of cool. I was like, okay, I looked up to that guy for years, and now here I am doing similar numbers in some things, which was really cool. And starting to understand that was because they paved the way. They showed different things, like their success left clues that I was able to pick up and learn from. And now there's so many different things, it's a matter of focus. Focus. A lot of people say we're in the attention economy, which it's shifting. It's not so much just about attention, it's about the right attention. And when you start to understand, yes, we are in the focus economy, but it's not about getting people's focus, it's about commanding your own focus. If you are focused on the wrong thing, you will struggle. And that's where I see so many would-be entrepreneurs, so many people who want to make money online, so many people going out there, they are not laser focused on one thing. Now, a lot of people who know me know that I have probably a really bad case of ADD. Very hard to focus on things sometimes, but when I get something I know will work, it is almost like nothing else matters because I know it will work. And I think that's a combination of just excitement and knowing a new project is fun to work on. It's the same with everything. Like when I was building the set out there for the new podcast, right? I just get laser focused and I'm like, I have to sit here and do it until it's done. And maybe that's a discipline thing where you need to discipline yourself to be like, I'm just going to sit here until this is done. Not until I make more crap that I could put on the internet. No, until this specific thing is done that I want to build for this specific reason. Going through and being disciplined about stuff is very important. I will never forget when we started doing 3 videos a week. Changed my world. Like the amount of traffic and everything just exponentially grew, and it worked. Why? Because I was deliberate and I learned. Had I just set out and said, I'm going to make 3 videos and they're just going to be the same every week, that wouldn't have worked. I have to learn from what works and I have to build on what grows. And then when we came out with this schedule, it keeps me online with, okay, these are the things I'm doing every week. Now people got to hold me accountable to it because, you know, if I don't have the webinar, people are sitting around like, bro, where's Marcus? It's 3 o'clock on Wednesday. He's supposed to be here on the YouTube. But understanding that is absolutely key, and building and growing and knowing what you're going to do will work before you do it. How do I know it's going to work? I prove the concept. That's what I spend time with AI on, right? And then after I prove the concept, and not like in a way where ChatGPT is going to pat you on your head for every idea, because that's part of the problem. ChatGPT tells you, oh, hey, that's such a great idea, when it's really not. We need to know how to prove a good idea, and we need to know when to dive into a good idea and when to build it and how to build it and what is actually going to be something that advertisers will pay for or customers will pay for or business owners will pay for. What is something that's actually going to set me apart? And the cool thing is like so many people want to make 1 million pieces of content, which, okay, whatever. I don't. I want to make one really good thing that is so unique that people have to come to me to get it. That's what I want to build. And that's what we're doing. Like personality prompts, you might say, well, Marcus, you know, there's 1 million different people doing personality or doing different prompts. Okay, well, mine are different. Mine are based on different things. It came from the idea of personality types, right? You got all the 16 different personality types. What if you were able to put those into AI and learn and think in a different way? I took that idea further and said, well, what about all the entrepreneurs? What about the ways that they think different? You know, you watch the Shark Tank show. Every shark has a different idea for each different thing. Why? One came from real estate. One came from software. One came from building massive industry. One came from cybersecurity. And you start to see all these in a different way, and it's like, oh, that I can boil into AI. And right now, there is a huge opportunity of billions of people using AI and not knowing what they're doing. They have no clue. Most people don't, right? That's why videos like this do well, because like people don't have a clue what they're doing. And if I can rein them in and give them that clue, then everything starts to change, and I can be the voice in that market. And whether it's, you know, a market of people who write emails every day or do follow-up calls or are in sales, whatever it is, we can build and grow it. So if you guys want to see more of this, smash a like button, type build in public in the comments. We'll do maybe like a video each month on this, kind of show you where we're going and keep you updated on what's going on. And really showing you like, okay, this can be built out. You can go through and create these things and make value out of them. Here's our file generation for the book. So we'll start that one. And going through and looking at this, I mean, you know, some people look at Manus as an expense, like, oh, wow, you know, you pay $400 for Manus, that's crazy. I often upgrade my credits because I need more of it, because I know what I'm getting is of value. And that's how everything should be in your business. It should be providing more than it costs. If not, well, then you need to rethink if you know how to use the tool or if you know what you're going to use it for. In the replay, make sure that you put as a comment the build in public. That way I can see those as well. But going through and seeing all the different things that we can create and all the bulk research, the bulk, here's all our video scripts, the book ideas, things like that, starting to understand how different stuff works, right? Maybe I could go through and say, find the top 10 sites that report the best-selling WordPress plugins. Okay, good, now dissect that. Now let's make a framework for all this. Starting to understand that everything can be boiled down. I have a video coming up, which hopefully I'll make, which is next week. I hope I will have time to do it. Maybe I'll make it Friday, I don't know. But the idea is the microfiche machine. If you're old enough like me to remember the library where you had that microfiche machine, which was basically newspapers printed on something so small a human couldn't read it, but this machine could. That's a framework. It's data boiled down into one small package that with the right equipment, you can make it work. AI is kind of like that. All of our prompts and all of our tools are little microfiches that's like, hey, run this framework on this thing, build this on this, create this like that. And if you can boil the magic into one prompt, idea, text file, AI tool, then you have something of value. This is where the rubber meets the road. So hopefully you enjoyed this training, which I'm pretty sure you did. Smash that like button. Let me know your thoughts as a comment below. Let me know your questions. If you have questions, if you're like, Marcus, bro, you forgot to cover this, say, hey, cover this next time. I'll read those comments and I'll cover it in our next video. Remember, always build good things. Always make sure you have the rights to whatever you're using. It is not a free-for-all, right? If you're commercially using this stuff, you need to make sure you're using it properly. Always remember, the results are not typical, implied, or guaranteed. The vast majority of people trying to make money online make nothing. I believe it's for various different reasons. One of the most important reasons is not knowing what actual value is and what that looks like in the marketplace. So thanks for being here. Check out joinmarcus.com. Over here, joinmarcus.com, you can see all the trainings that we have each week. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. It'll show you everything that's going on. I'm going to put a link down here that's going to have the product class. So if you missed the product class, get the product class. You can also see our boot camp if you want to work with us each week on a call where I literally dive into your ideas and help you with everything every week. Just go to Join Marcus, like bookmark that, save it, and every week check it out. We got all kinds of stuff. There's free tools there. There's paid stuff there. Anything, if you want to learn from me, that is where you can go. And you can even get notes from the video where you could just click here. It'll take you to the page where you can get the notes and different things like that. It does take a bit. Right? It takes a day or two for the notes to come out because obviously I cannot take notes while I'm doing the video. AI can, but you know, we actually have note takers that do that. And provide the notes. So you can get all that, joinmarcus.com. Hop over there now. You can see what's going on, and let's build in public.
Thanks for being here. Smash the like button. Let me know your comments below. Have fun, build something, and I'll see you in the next training.